Hello, welcome to Two Non-Critics. I'm Val Kilmer, and with me from Hawaii is
Val Kilmer as well.
Val Kilmer as well. We're two Mr. Nobodies. We used to be Batman. Now
And Mad Mardigan.
Mad Mardigan. All right, Two Non-Critics. Non-Critic Dustin with me
Not Critic Will.
from Hawaii, and we're talking about a 2010 straight-to-DVD thriller movie thing with Val Kilmer in it, a very bloated Val Kilmer. And this was Non-Critic Will's choice to talk about, and why don't you tell us why you chose it, sir?
Well, the reason why I chose this movie was because I always saw it on Netflix as I was skimming through movies to watch, and one time when we were talking about Batman, I think we were talking we had the critique on Batman, his son.
Son of Batman?
Yeah, there you go. Reverse. When we were talking about Son of Batman.
It was not a movie. It was about Batman and his son.
And his son.
I can't think of what it was called.
No. Oh, Son. Oh, all right. Well, as we were before we started talking about Son of Batman, we got into a little discussion, probably off air, about just all the different Batman movies that we've seen, and one was with Val Kilmer. Batman Forever actually starred Val Kilmer as Batman, as Bruce Wayne, and the only two strong movies that I knew him from were Willow and Batman Forever, and then he kind of fell off. I mean, I remember seeing him in The Island of Dr. Monroe, the remake, but that's about it. So, and Non-Critic Dustin showed me this picture of Val Kilmer all just big and bloated now, and there's a big text saying, "Hey, remember when I was Batman?" So I just wanted to see with a big lonely smile, like I need friends.
Just sitting in the back of a bar or something. He's just like, "Hey guys, remember when I was Batman?"
So
Find it.
the reason why I chose this movie because I wanted to see some more of Val Kilmer's work, just to see where he's been. I mean, how does he do now with how is he doing nowadays? I mean, even though this is 2010, it's the most recent one I've seen of Val Kilmer. So after I watched it, I didn't hate it or like it, but I just like, oh, all right. Let me get Non-Critic Dustin to watch it. Let's see what he thinks about it.
It's funny because I was like, when I first thought of doing the show, I thought, that way Will can get me to watch all the movies he's really wanted me to watch that I haven't seen, and he's having me watch stuff like this, which he didn't even care about. So that's but so I watched it, and I didn't like it either. And sorry, I'm looking at stats and IMDb. I didn't like it, and I didn't like it pretty much from the very beginning. Here's the thing, though. The movie itself, I wouldn't call it horrible. It's very much the kind of movie where if I was probably in my mid-teens, I probably would have watched multiple times and enjoyed it. Not because I thought it was great or anything, but because around that time was when I was at the peak of my horror movie obsession, and I loved movies that were kind of straight to DVD and were more about atmosphere than anything else. And I will say this movie pulled off atmosphere adequately, and I would have liked it were I younger. Everything else in the movie, however, I thought was quite ridiculous. And not only was the premise essentially a Stephen King short story, it felt like this. I actually had to check because this felt like something Stephen King would do, but much better. Meaning Stephen King would do it better. But they even named the cat. There's a cat in it that they named Shining. I was like, you just want that Stephen King audience, man. And but yeah, it's not good. Nope.
Could you nope? Could you summarize it so they'll know exactly what it's about at least?
I'll tell you what it's about. It's about Val Kilmer trying to stay awake for an hour and a half. That is his entire performance. Like, I don't know if it's because his face is extra puffy now or what it is, but it honestly looks like he's just always like somebody's like, say your line. He's like,
That is true. That is the way he looks. So
the concept, I wouldn't say it's promising, but it's not bad. A guy wanders into a police station on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I can't remember. And he's like, I'm here to confess to some murders. Wake up! I'm here to tell you I killed some people. And then, so these guys, all these cops who are working alone that night in the station have to sort of figure out what he's all about. And pretty quickly, since the movie begins with a child playing alone, you're like, okay, so this is probably the guy who kidnapped that girl. And then the rest of the movie is trying to build up this mystery of who is he? He calls himself Mr. Nobody. He's just a nobody. And you're trying to figure out, it turns out that the chief, or whoever the fuck he is, the guy from, what's his name? His name is Dylan Neal. He's been on The Bold and the Beautiful and Dawson's Creek. And he was also a very creepy character in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, like the last season of it. I remember him on that. I say creepy because he had a relationship with Sabrina, and he was like 30-something, so that was weird. But he does not play a very good morning father. He looks like a pretty actor who they gave a 5 o'clock shadow and said, pretend to be sad, and he's not very good at it. It turns out that little girl at the beginning you saw was his daughter. She was murdered, and he's sad about it. And his marriage broke up over it. And everyone working there at the police station helped him find this vagrant man, this traveler, and beat him into a coma. And there you go. And so you're like, is Val Kilmer that guy? Or is he the ghost of that guy? Or is he just a weird thing that's there to punish him? And I was mildly interested in finding that out. And I'll say when they finally explain it, didn't give shit. Was not surprised. They took the easy way out. Spoilers. That's all I'll say. I think I started to really not like this movie about 2 minutes into it. When the fat cop, played by a guy who I see show up and stuff all the time, and he's never very good. He's never bad, but he's never very good. Named Chris Gauthier? I don't know. He played the toy maker on Smallville, and he got killed by Jason in Freddy vs. Jason. He shows up in other things like a Stephen King movie, Riding the Bullet. He's just kind of like a second-rate Jack Black. And when he pulls out the gun on the guy, immediately I was like, fuck this movie. Like, if he's a cop, he'll do his job, and he won't immediately pull a gun on a guy just because he said he killed someone. And not only is he the fat cop, because that is his role in this movie, he's also the guilty cop. He's fat, he's guilty, and he's stupid, and he looks funny. And that kind of explains the whole movie. They go for cheap gags. And it's cheap to have the bumbling idiot cop be the fat one. Maybe I'm saying that because I identify with the guy, but I don't know. What did you think of that character?
The fat cop?
The fat cop. Fat guilty cop.
The only thing that can come up in my head right now is that he was just a waste of space. But
I'm just saying that because he's fat. No,
I mean, okay, that cop, he was the only one, when you said the guilty cop, he had a guilty conscience over what they did to the nobody, to the guy. I guess he seemed like the character that was trying to make things right, but it blew up in his face. He didn't technically do anything when they beat the shit out of that guy, but that's the thing. He didn't do anything. He didn't even help. He didn't even help save the guy, so he was punished for it too as well. Mm-hmm. The movie altogether, like I said, when I watched it, I didn't have high hopes, but you know, like I've explained many times before, I just put on random Netflix movies and just check them out to see if I like it or not. The movie in general, it was pretty cliche, really cliche. The only thing that was a little bit surprising to me was the ending. I don't know how to explain it without spoiling it, but okay, if you're watching this, if you want to know the ending, cut it off right now because I'm about to spoil the shit out of it. But anyway, the one thing that I thought was a little interesting was the fact that they assumed that the guy that they beat to a pulp and then eventually died in a coma was innocent. They thought he was an innocent man. What was crazy is that the moment he died, I think they said it was like 8:14 p.m. That's when his ghost immediately showed up at the station, 8:14 p.m. But this whole time I'm thinking that, okay, you had this innocent man that you beat to a pulp because you thought he killed your daughter. And you're going to find out that the reason why he's punishing you and killing all of you is because he didn't kill your daughter. But what surprised me was that he actually did.
Yeah. It was kind of like the Friday, no, fucking, I might as well call it that, but the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Where they tried to make you think Freddy was innocent, but he's like, no, I'm not.
Like, he actually did. He's like, I have another confession. And, oh, yeah, he kills his victim. He kills the people through confessions. He's like, oh, yeah, I killed 6 people. I murdered 6 people. And funny, there's 6 cops at the station. But, you know, his second to last confession was that, oh, yeah, I did do it. I did kidnap and kill your daughter. I did it. So that's the one little thing that surprised me. But then after that, like, just the falling out, I didn't give a shit. I didn't really care. Like, after the fact that I found out, okay, he actually did kill it. Okay, that was minor twist, little twist. Didn't expect that. Then all of a sudden, what happens? He says, "Oh, he's like, then why did you?" The cop. He's like, "Why did you come back? Why are you getting revenge? You killed my daughter." He's like, "I've hated you, dreamed about this moment. I was in for that whole year. I craved, I've wished, I've dreamed of getting revenge on you for what y'all did to me. And the power of vengeance, or whatever the fuck he said, it wasn't important, but the power of vengeance and evil and blah blah blah, it made me come back as some evil being or whatever." Like, okay, that's yeah, that made sense. So evil always prevails. That was so good. That was so nice. I dreamt so much to get back at y'all for what y'all did to me because I killed your daughter that I came back.
Yeah.
That's how strong it was. You know why? Because of Batman.
That was a good setup. Anyway, you seem to be skipping over the most ridiculous thing about the movie.
Oh, here we go.
It wouldn't have been ridiculous if there was anything else like this that happened in the movie. The dude's daughter shows up. His daughter shows up and tells him how to stop Mr. Nobody. She's just like, "Daddy, I'm here." He's like, "Huh?"
You have to say his name.
"I tried to come back, but I was scared," or something like that. For some reason, she couldn't come back. "He doesn't like his name." And I was thinking his name would be Rumpelstiltskin or just something like shitty name. And his name's I don't even remember his character's name, but it was just something like
Steven something.
Steven Smith, like some bland, stupid name. And he's like, and I get it. I get the reason. Like, I'm assuming the reason he doesn't like his name is because it reminds him that he probably used to be a person who didn't kill little girls, and maybe it makes him feel guilty, and the way he like, I don't know, I could be giving it too much credit, but Jesus, man, like, this is ridiculous. There's at no point in the movie is there ever anything where like he even thinks even if out of the corner of his eye he thinks he sees his daughter or an image of her, like she kind of pops up every now and then, and she's like, "I was trying to warn you." I'd be like, "All right, I guess," but she's just there, like he's hiding under his desk, and she's like, "Hey, Daddy," and he's just like, "Have you been under my desk the whole fucking time?" That was ridiculous. And also, something I wanted to mention real quick, because I don't want to spend too much time on this movie, because they don't a lot of time. No, that's mean. I shouldn't say it. But the death scenes in the movie are stupid and so bad. And, like, the scene where this guy gets his tongue cut out, easily could have just done it off camera. This is the thing about an independent horror movie you need to remember, is unless you're going for a cheesy effect like some like Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead. Well, not the first one. The first one I think was trying to be a little scary, but they know they have cheap effects, so they're going to hit you in the face with as many cheap effects as they can. This movie seemed like it was trying real hard, and then they would insert a shot of the guy's tongue when his tongue's going to get cut out, and it literally looked like somebody had wrapped a bunch of toffee together and stretched it out. And I don't know if it was the POV of inside his mouth, but all of a sudden his tongue's just wiggling around, and you see the scissors just kind of creeping up, and, and then when it actually shows it cutting into his tongue, and it looks, and there's like, so bad. You easily could have just done it on camera. Because what they're trying to get at is that while he's confessing, the power of his confession or whatever is killing them the way he's saying it. And I was okay with that. It would have been better if you didn't show it. If it's like a character's walking alone or something, gets sucked into the jail cell, and that's all you see, and you hear him screaming, and then they run up and you see, oh, he's hanging there, or his tongue was cut out. That would be way more interesting than actually saying, "I'm going to get you. I'm going to cut your tongue out."
And the deaths were supposed to be similar to the way that he was beat.
Yeah.
To a pulp, to a coma. They're supposed to be similar. But what I was going to say was, too, about the whole name thing at the end. The only other movie I can think of that had something to do with the ending of, you need to say my name, or whatever it was, Never-Ending Story.
But that was a good thing.
That's the only thing I can see it would relate to just in that part. It's like,
the Rumpelstiltskin thing, I did it because that's a funny name, but also that's what that story is. Rumpelstiltskin shows up, and my favorite version of Rumpelstiltskin is the fairy tale theater one. Have you ever seen it? Where Shelley Duvall and Tattoo from Fantasy Island, he plays Rumpelstiltskin, and
no, I haven't seen it.
I will weave this hair into gold for you, but you have to be your firstborn child.
And so
they plan.
And so she gives him her firstborn child, or she doesn't want to. He comes to get her, and he's like,
"I will not take your child if you can say my name."
And she's like, "Rumpelstiltskin." He's like, "Oh my God!" When he said, in that version, when he says,
"Hotorio, was it the beast in the forest? I'm going to kill him, and then I'll bring him back to life, and I'll kill him again."
And then he disappears. He gets his foot stuck, and he disappears. In the original story, he gets his foot stuck and ends up ripping himself in half. But
Jesus.
I really think, looking the parallels with this movie, Mr. Nobody kidnaps his daughter, kills her, comes back, and he has to say his name to be rid of him. That's actually a common thing in folklore and mythology, is to banish the demon. You say its true name, or you show it its true face. But it was just the blandest name ever. Like, it was like John Doe or something, and it's like, that's such a shitty name. And I don't know, just everything. This is the last thing I wanted to bring up, really, because we're kind of just hammering into this movie. But the the death scene that was the most ridiculous was the woman.
I thought so. I thought you were going to say that.
Jesus Christ. Because not only does her boyfriend get shot or whatever, but then the movie actually starts to pick up pace, and there's actually shit happening. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm watching this, because it was kind of boring. And, like, she's driving down the street, and they have, like, this rock music playing, and it's supposed to make it seem like, oh, man, everything's going crazy. And while she's driving, she's kind of swerving, and I was like, oh, she's going to die in the car while she's driving. But then she actually gets to the police station, manages to park, all the rock music's gone, and it's back to that boring score music. I was like, wait, you just totally killed the momentum of this movie. And then she gets a bag thrown over her head, and she's choking, and they're trying to break into the car, and they can't. And I was like, okay, this could be compelling. And then what just totally threw it off? Her fucking head comes off. For no reason. Right? That happened, didn't it? I'm not just remembering this out of nowhere. Like, they open the door, and her head's like...
Her head just plops out. And on top of the fact that they're trying to break into the car, and they're using shotguns, they're using 9mm, they're using everything. And all you see is puffs of smoke coming out the barrel. That's all you just... That's all you see. One thing, I only have one question, a short question, and then wrap this up. But what did you think of the melody, the tune that he always whistled? Like, that's the only thing that was kind of creepy, I guess, for me. It's the only thing that was a little interesting, because if I like that's a tune that stays in your head. So if I heard that, I'd be like, oh shit. Like, what'd you think of just the tune he kept whistling?
Well, I like how they hooked it in with was it Mozart, or was it, I can't remember who it was, Mozart or Beethoven. I think it was Mozart, and how he was asked to write it as sort of like his own death music, I guess. And that was interesting, because I'd heard that story before, but they kept using it, and every time it would happen, I was like, Val Kilmer's not whistling that. Nope. And it's fine that he's not whistling that, but it was literally like Val Kilmer would just be like, and then he would just insert the whistle, and I was like, jeez, that took me out of it, man, because it was so badly done. It was like a badly dubbed Japanese movie. He just puckers up, and all of a sudden this immaculate whistling comes out of his mouth. The device itself lent to added to the atmosphere, which I appreciated, but for the most part. As this whole movie, man. Yeah. Val Kilmer went from being one of a Batman I quite enjoyed, to being like, what happened to you, man? I liked his Batman. Did you like his Batman?
I liked it, but I still had a hard time transitioning from Michael Keaton to Val Kilmer, because once Batman Forever first came out, it was just a whole new look, completely whole new look. The Batmobile, the Batcave, the city, Gotham City, everything was completely different. So it was just a hard transition for me, because I loved Michael Keaton as Batman. So, but aside from that, I did like Val Kilmer as Batman. My worst was George Clooney. Yep. Oh my God, that's another rant.
Another day. Yeah, that's another day. But if you're
sorry,
bored,
George.
Sorry, Mr. Clooney. He's fine. He's doing all right for himself. But let's say, I don't know. I actually, believe it or not, would recommend this movie if you're 15. You like horror movies that have atmosphere, and you're just sitting at home with a pizza, because I did that a lot. Watch it. If not, unless you're going to talk about it on a show like this, don't bother with it. So, I recommend this movie to Mr. Nobodies.